Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We got Harrison and Sean with us tonight. How we doing, fellas?
What's up, boys?
Awesome. Been a great week of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We'll get into it, but first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can also subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. First of all, I want to thank everybody for their support. I mean, in the last 3 weeks, we've absolutely tripled our followers. We really appreciate the support. We're up to 1,000 followers now on Facebook. We're starting to branch out into Instagram a little bit, dabble in that. So you can find us pretty much everywhere. We come live 8 p.m. every Monday, and especially throughout the playoffs, we might come on a couple times, invite some guests on, and just kind of have a round table and talk baseball for a few hours. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for their support. So
it's been awesome.
It's been a great 3 weeks. It's been absolutely incredible. So, all right, let's just jump into it. NLCS is about ready to throw their first pitch. I'm all in on the Diamondbacks here, but let's start with this Texas and Houston series. Texas takes a 2-0 series lead already. And let's just start with game one. Jordan Montgomery absolutely goes out and just shoves. He had every pitch working. He was outside with his sinker, changeup. Everything was working for him. Astros had no answers. And that's that. I mean, the Rangers pitching, which has been under fire because of all the injuries, came out and delivered. Astros didn't score. They were shut out. You had the Evan Carter hustle double. And that's a good start. Corbin Carroll. Sorry, I'm gonna have in between
that bat is firewood, but he's standing at first base.
Yep. Evan Carter started the scoring off in game one with that hustle double. He hits it hard at Abreu. He gets a glove on it, and Evan Carter gets all the way to second base and then scores on a base hit by Jonah Heim, 1-0. And then Leotis Taveras later in that game hits a solo shot, and then that's it. That was it.
That was the whole game in a blink.
And the Rangers bullpen, for all of the question marks going in, have like a 1.84 ERA. It's up a little bit because of what happened tonight, but even then, I'll take that.
And all we talked about late August into September was, well, the Rangers hang on because they can't close a game out, and they continued to not be able to close games out, and they fell out of contention. And you looked at the number of blown saves. I forget, Sean at one point had the number, but it was a horrifying number of games they were leading that they didn't end up winning late. They couldn't hold a lead to save their lives, and now they're getting the pitching that they hadn't been getting for the last 6-7 weeks. And with that offense, nobody's going to beat them if they continue to keep these guys to 2 and 3 runs a game. They're going to outscore them every night.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with Texas is they don't need to have a team ERA of 1.5.
No,
you just need it to be good enough.
Yep.
And it's got to be so comforting to be in the bullpen. And I'm not saying it's not stressful by no means, because it's an incredibly stressful job. Bullpen in the postseason has got to be. I wouldn't want to do it. It's an awful job. But it's got to be so much more comforting to know, okay, I come in and do all right. I give up one, or I inherit a runner and he scores on it. My guys have my back, rather than every run you give up is just backbreaking. That's the end of the game, end of the series. It's got to be so much more comforting. And another thing, and I will make sure that I won't be able to. It's no such thing as overstating it, I should say. Having Bruce Bochy on the bench has got to be the most calming, comforting thing for the Texas Rangers. They have to have confidence in every move that he makes.
Yep.
And whether they're sitting there going, "Oh, you're going to Leclerc in the 8th inning like he did tonight," he didn't want to roll this Chapman to have to face Jose Abreu, so he goes in and he brings in Leclerc with 2 outs in the 8th. So it's all right, well, it's going to be a 4-out save for Leclerc. Typically, I'd say, for a bullpen that struggled and had so many blown saves, I don't know if that's the right move. But Bruce Bochy does it in the playoffs. I'm all on board, and it worked out.
Yep.
You know,
For sure.
I mean, there's just something so comforting and calming about having a guy like him making those decisions.
Yeah.
His track record doesn't lie. I mean, look at we've talked about this before. Like Dusty Baker and Bruce Bochy might be the only two managers left in baseball that get the earful of analytics, but at the same time, they have a feel for what's happening on the field with their team. Like Astros hating aside, Dusty Baker has the pulse of his team.
Oh, sure.
You know, and so does Bruce Bochy, as it's showing right now. I mean, Texas right now, they don't have a ton of playoff experience aside of, Corey Seager, having that stretch in 2020 when he just absolutely tore it up.
Right.
And I mean, there's a couple other guys that have dabbled in the playoffs, but nothing like the Astros playoff experience.
No, and I mean, talk about a guy that has postseason experience, Aroldis Chapman, and it's not very good. Excuse me. At least with he had that good year with the Cubs when they ended up winning the World Series, right? But, his postseason experience with the Yankees against Houston in Houston, it's pretty horrific.
I'm just waiting for Altuve to take him deep again.
Dude.
Yeah, we'll get to We'll get to Chapman in a minute. He'll come up right here in the game too. But, I mean, the way that their starters, which was a big question mark. I mean, think about it. Scherzer's on the DL. John Gray was on the IL. Evaldi was hurt for some time. DeGrom's, I don't even think on the Rangers anymore. That was a huge question mark. And you just had both your starters go 6+ in games 1 and 2.
And Jordan Montgomery has been untouchable the entire playoffs so far. He's been like Kurt Schilling-esque.
Well, dude's going to get paid. He's going to get
good.
Paid
he sure is. He's been good. I heard him, I think it was after game 1. It must have been after game 1. When he was talking about coming to the Rangers with the trade and essentially like what his mindset has been. And he's like, they told me to just throw the heater more. Like he doesn't have 99, 100, right? Like that's not what he throws. But everything that he has, like every good pitcher, right? It works off of the fastball. And when he throws the fastball consistently enough, like for strikes, which he's been doing all postseason, and even the back half of the year when the injuries were so bad, like he really was the one that stepped up and would stop the bleeding and kept them kind of from fully collapsing, out of the race altogether. Yep. And pretty much since then, it's just been like everything's been working off the fastball. And when he gets in trouble, when he needs a strike, he doesn't just throw it over the middle. He'll dot it somewhere. But it's like, okay, he has that down. He has the ability to do that. And, he just said that when the Rangers went and got him, and the Rangers said, we love the stuff you have. We love your heater. Like, trust it. Like, it got you here. Trust it. And he's pitching with so much confidence. So much confidence.
Yeah. And, comment here from Brian about, Barry Chapman in the back of the pen. I think everybody kind of feels that way given the September that he had. But I do think that the value in Chapman is the fact that he's been there before many times. He's got experience. Does he always execute? No, but he's been there before. So I think if you use him correctly, he can be a weapon for you. But if you're just going to run him out there in high leverage situations late in games, he's shown that he's not that guy anymore.
But it's also, and it's also, the team you're facing against too. I mean, like Chapman is not what Chapman once was, but he's still a guy that gets a lot of swings and misses. And he's a guy that, when he's on, he gets a lot of Ks. Yep. And if you're going up against a team that does strike out a bit and you need your Ks, I mean, like he's kind of a guy that's nice to have. I'm not saying it's comfortable. No. And as an honorary Rangers fan this year, I'm not going to sit there and say I don't tighten up a little bit when he's on the mound, but he's a good guy to have. It's nice to be able to have that option to go, you know what, we need 2 Ks out of the next 3 batters. Like we have them, we got to use them.
Yeah. He's the kind of guy you just got to be careful. You've got to use him in the right spots, but he is a weapon. But you can't just run him out there in a jam thinking he's going to go out there and blow people away. It's just you got to pick your spots, and that's where Bochy's good. He won't just run him out there.
He's got to come in a clean inning. He can't come in with runners on. That's just how it is.
We used to know a guy like that, Nick.
We know a few guys.
Then he went to LA and became lights out.
Yeah, we're not going to mention any names.
Then he went to LA and he didn't allow an inherited runner for like 18 outings or some shit. It's crazy.
Okay, that's enough of that talk on my podcast. So, moving on. Game 2.
Now it's his podcast. Sean actually pissed him off.
Yeah, seriously.
our podcast. Sorry, I don't bring that name up anymore. Ryan Brazier. Okay, game 2. Today, 4:30. Rangers come out and put 4 up on the board right away. I mean, just smacked Framber Valdez right in the mouth. So much, in fact, he went and changed his cleats in the second inning because he's like, well, these cleats aren't working. So he changes his cleats, comes out. Astros scrape across a run. Then it's like 4-1. Jonah Heim gets up, hits a solo shot. Then the Astros start chipping away. Yordan Alvarez with another playoff home run. And then Brantley hits an RBI double. It's like 5-3. Then we get to the bottom of the 8th. Chapman comes in, gets the first 2 guys out. Now he's facing Alvarez, or 1 out, I think it was.
No, 2.
Facing Alvarez.
Oh, no,
it was a
it was
leadoff.
1.
It was a leadoff. Yeah. Either way, hangs a slider. Yordan Alvarez again turns it around. Solo shot. Now, if you are going to pitch to this guy, they're pitching to him in the right situations. There's nobody on base. He goes deep. A solo shot's not hurting you. It's not killing you. You have a 2-run lead. Fine. He goes deep. It's now 5-4. Chapman gets the next guy out and then leaves for that 4-out save for Leclerc. But again, the big moment for me in this game was Eovaldi in the 5th inning, I believe it was, bases loaded, and he gets out of it. 2 Ks and then a ground out to short to end the inning, and that's that. Astros don't score. That's a backbreaker for the Astros right there. And to their credit, they didn't go away, but Rangers held on and win 5-4. Now they go back to Arlington with a 2-0 series lead.
Okay, so can I have a quick comment on the second Alvarez home run?
Sure.
I don't think that's as much on Chapman as we want to put it on Chapman, just because it's been typical Chapman to give up big home runs in the postseason. Dude, 2 outs in the 8th. It was a first pitch slider away at the knees. Like, who looks for that? And then who hooks it? Or like, there's only like 2 hitters in the world that can hit that out.
Yeah, Yordan Alvarez and Nick Arno. Those 2. That's
like,
it.
who's looking for that first pitch slider down and away?
Well, it wasn't a bad pitch.
It was not a bad
No.
pitch. So it's like, it just sucks that it's Chapman, because it's like, that's just classic Chapman giving up a big home run late in the games. But it's like, who looks for that? Who's looking for a first pitch slider down and away to hook it right field?
But it just shows you, like, that's what makes Alvarez so good. He will ambush you on the first pitch, but then not next time. Like, you never know what he's going to do. He is so selective, but if he thinks he can hit it, by God, he's going to hit it. And that's what amazed me with him. Is he will absolutely ambush you. And I thought it was I think for me the moment for the Rangers was that hot start, because you had Verlander last night who pitched well and came after the game and said, "Hey, look, we just got punched in the face. How are we going to respond?" And Texas goes, "Here, hold my beer," and puts 4 up on him right out of the gate. So, like, any momentum they were trying to build in that clubhouse, Texas just absolutely. Oh my God, Schwarber!
Damn it!
Yeah, and I mean it was
Schwarber
important for Texas to come out and start the way that they started, right? Like, you already won, you already stole home field in a sense, right? Because you won game 1, so you already took at least 1 from Houston. But to come out and realize, like, hey, we're not satisfied with just taking 1 here. Like, you sent the message, like, hey, like, we're here to win this whole goddamn thing. Like, we're not happy going 1-1, then going back home and maybe, winning a couple. No. Like, we're here to tell you that this is our division.
Yep.
We're here to tell you that we're players in the American League. And, like, that's, it was aided by the Framber error. I mean, that's a horrible error that you just can't have.
That was really bad.
And that turns out to be, that's the difference in the game right there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
essentially,
you can't have that and expect to win. But I think just wonderful job. And Texas has Scherzer going for game 3.
Yep.
So,
I was just going to mention that.
I mean, you have an opportunity to really step on their throats here.
Yeah, I mean, Texas sucked the life out of them right out of the jump. And then, so now Texas goes home up 2-0 with Scherzer on the mound in game 3. I mean, we've said all along, this Rangers team can hit with anybody. If they can get some pitching, they'll be okay. They've gotten exceptional pitching in the playoffs. And with that offense, they're going to be incredibly hard to beat if they continue to pitch like this. That was their Achilles heel.
Yep. Absolutely insane. So the Rangers are now 7-0 in postseason games. They have not lost a postseason game yet. But yeah, that
Oh, boy.
offense is crazy. Jeez, man.
Two's up.
Not a good start for my D-backs.
They just go back to back Yankees.
Schwarber went yard, and then
No, Turner lined
then
out
Turner
to,
lined out,
to
and then
right.
Brycey went yard.
Oh, I'm so far behind.
All right.
Wow.
Well then. All right.
my
It's already
So
5-0 in the fifth, Sean.
Dude, that Bryce Harper ball was smoked.
No, they're both
Yeah.
bombs.
I mean, I
but
guess
Bryce
I
was
have an
crushed.
idea. I think I have a new game plan. Let's not hang those pitches to those lefty hitters.
That's a good
I mean,
idea.
both of those were like very fuckable.
Middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those were very fuckable pitches.
yeah. All right. So let's just jump into this series preview. What do you guys got? I know what my heart says, but my mind says something different.
Yeah, my brain says Philadelphia, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Philadelphia, they're getting hot at the right time. Ever since they, the whole standing ovation for Trey Turner, we've covered it. I mean, it's just been a completely different team.
Yep.
He's been a completely different player, and by that sense, so is the whole team. Bryce Harper's getting hot at the wrong time if you're a Diamondbacks fan.
Yep.
We obviously just saw that there.
Yeah.
I just think it's an extremely uphill battle. But you know what? So was LA.
Mhm.
Right? They weren't
Yeah.
supposed to beat the Dodgers either. So
Mhm.
who am I to count them out? But if I had to pick, I'd certainly pick Philadelphia.
I mean,
Yeah.
I so badly want to
After
see
watching,
I'm with
Go ahead,
Bez. I
Harrison.
so badly want to see the D-backs win, but Philly right now is I'm not sure there's anybody that could beat them. They are hot at the right time. They're getting the pitching's come around again. Another team they can hit like crazy, could not get consistent pitching. They started to get it at the right time.
yeah. And this, I hate that the Phillies are built for the postseason.
They are.
Like all of them are built for the postseason. That's a strike, sir. But I just don't see the Diamondbacks getting by them right now. I mean, Philly's just way too hot. Like everybody. Castellanos 4 home runs last series in the division series. Turner had a couple. Harper had a few. Like it's just everybody's smashing. And like you said, it comes down to the pitching. Nola's giving them good starts. Wheeler's out there
Great.
dealing. Ranger Suarez went out there and dealt during the division series.
Ranger Suarez only pitches well in the playoffs, I think.
Crazy. I mean, their bullpen's good too. You got Jose Alvarado coming out. You got Kimbrel locking it down at the end.
Yeah.
Strom.
I just strong. Yeah, I just
Someone-
don't. The Diamondbacks aren't as deep as the Phillies.
No.
Can the Diamondbacks hit? Yeah, we've seen it. They can mash. They can get up there, but their pitching is still young. They haven't been in the playoffs in a long time. None of them have playoff experience. They have a couple veterans, but that's it. There's nobody with postseason experience. They're playing with house money at this point. Doesn't mean I'm not going to root like hell for them.
Thought the same thing off the
But-
bat, Nick. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm pulling for him hard every pitch I'm leaning on, but I think it ends up being Philly. at the
And this
end.
Philly team has they've gelled so well. Bryce Harper he's a Philly guy. Like he just fits in so well there. Schwarber does what he does. Harper is kind of the leader of the band there, and they're solid all the way up and down. You got Castellanos hitting 7th. Guy's getting almost 400 in the playoffs and with 4 bombs. There's not really any holes in that lineup.
No, not.
And
at
they've
this
got great
moment.
playoff experience. They made the big run last year. It's largely the same. It's a lot of the same cast of characters, and they're still feeling last year. They're here for revenge. This to them's more of a revenge tour than anything.
Yeah, and you'd wonder if it was going to go one way or the other with Philly, right? You knew it was either going to be this, where it was just like they picking up where they left off from last year in the postseason, or wow, the pressure's really gotten to them. They feel like they should go back, and but it doesn't matter. Even when like a bounce doesn't go their way, or a call doesn't go their way, or they have a tough they're just so mentally tough. They're so mentally resilient. Like bad inning doesn't matter.
Yep.
Bad call against us doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. Oh, Bryce Harper ran into the 3rd out of the game when you're the tying run. Doesn't matter. We'll come back the next night and shove. Won't matter.
Yeah, hit 7 home
they
runs the
don't
next
crumble.
night.
They don't crumble. It's just
They don't.
they're just such a fiercely difficult team to play against because of that.
And it is
Absolutely.
there's this us against the world mentality, and they just nothing bothers them, nothing shakes them. They just keep coming at you, and they're relentless, and they are the energy and the swagger like that. This is a team that will accept nothing but a championship this run.
Yep, absolutely agree. And Philly is a tough place to play.
It is.
I mean,
Oh,
those
yeah.
fans are insane.
Did you hear the fans
man.
with Strider in the bullpen? Did you see that video?
No.
No, I didn't see
So
that. video.
Strider was out there they were chanting for Strider as he got out to the bullpen, and then they were screaming stuff about his mom. You know, they're asking how's, I forget what her name was, how's so and so, and like they were this whole group was around the bullpen, shitting on him, his mother, everything. Like,
You gotta love
it was
Philadelphia. You just gotta
brutal.
love the Philly assholes, man. They're
Oh, it was
just
brutal.
scumbags. They're
And
scumbags. You gotta love
Strider
them.
didn't pick his head up once, but my God, can you imagine warming up with these guys? You know, just you got probably 100 people packed around the railing of that bullpen, and just screaming at you the whole time you're warming
Couldn't
up.
be me, dude. I'm a mental midget. It couldn't be me.
I can't even imagine when a 7-year-old says a your mama joke, I'm ready to punch him in the face. Like, but I mean, yeah, it's crazy. And then the Braves chop, I think we mentioned it last week or during when we were on. Like the fans were doing the Brave chop in the middle of like the 5th or the 6th after they went deep for like the 6th time. It's a different place to play. I can't even imagine what that feels like.
They are the worst fans in the world, unless you're on their team. These are the same people that threw batteries at players, snowballs at Santa Claus. Like this.
Okay.
Tough...
The batteries were warranted. They were at John Rocker.
I mean,
or it might have been the Mets that did.
It was.
I don't know. Either way,
these fans have done everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Braves fans are no better. They were throwing stuff on the field too. Yeah. So, I mean, but yeah, Philly's electric place to play. Brutal. I can't even imagine that. But well, D-backs are in a 2-0 hole early. They have the offense to get back into this game.
Wheeler's been good, so they've got their work cut out for him. But Schwarber couldn't have squared that ball up anymore. That bat didn't even shake when he hit it.
No. Crazy. 2 bombs. All right. So we'll move off from the series and we'll kind of follow this game, obviously, as it's going. Still a lot of noise about the playoff format. I know it might be like kicking a dead horse at this point.
Noise from whom, Nick? Like from other players or from
like
fans?
Just, I think all around, honestly. I haven't really heard much from the players aspect, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because Snicker did come out and say, hey, the Astros did it and they moved on. So we have no excuses.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that was going to be more what I was going to say, but go ahead.
I'm just thinking, like, you know, we've thrown it around like the last week or so. Like, do they go back to the 1-game wild card and you know, shorten that window of time off, or what do they do? Add 2 more teams so everybody plays in the first round? Like, what would be the easiest fix or the most beneficial fix?
I don't know. I hope they don't do 1-game playoff. I think that flies in the face of everything that baseball is. It's a game of a series, and to battle for 162 games. I mean, I've said my piece on it, but to battle for 162 games, and then you don't even have a chance to play a series, which is how you set your team up to win series. Is like that's how you design teams. I just think that's crazy. But at the end of the day, I do think they have to fix this, like where it is now, because I think it's proven. Did the Astros do it? Yes, but the Patriots went undefeated once. That doesn't mean everyone should go undefeated every year. Like that's just because someone did it one time. It doesn't mean it's the ideal scenario. You know, I don't. I think this is bad for baseball. Upsets are good. I like upsets.
We love some chaos.
I am a fan of chaos. I've said that on the show before. I'm a fan of chaos. But I do think you're putting yourself as a sport at a disadvantage when you're going year after year with your best teams getting bounced consistently. If it happens once every now and again, like that's what we're here for. That's why we tune in to watch. But like, you shouldn't constantly be having wild card teams in the World Series.
Right.
Like the World Series this year should have the Braves. They were by far the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that there's an opportunity for the Diamondbacks to be there. But the Diamondbacks got to ride a hot hand right into the playoffs. The Braves won 100-something games and had to sit on their asses for 5 days. So
I think that's the thing, right? Like 7 of the 8 of the last 100 win teams haven't made the championship series.
Right.
The championship series, not even talking the World Series.
Right.
They haven't even gotten to their league championship series. 7 out of 8. That's like you said, Sean. I think that's the issue. Another bat for the Lumber
On a
Pile.
fastball. Like it's like he's
Jesus.
throwing like some nasty cutter, he's throwing a fastball and he's just sawing him off.
Dang, man.
This one didn't even die a hero either.
No. Yeah, I don't. Again, like I don't know what that fix is. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing eight teams from each team get in. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I think you do 8.
And then
I think you do 8 teams. I think the home teams, you get 1 day off. The home teams obviously get to host. So it's a travel day for the road teams, which means the better seeds all get a day off. Well, the other teams travel to them, and you play. I mean, these
Yeah.
guys don't want 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days off. They want to just keep going
No.
because
Yep.
they've got a routine, they've got momentum, they just want to keep playing. You do it all year, you just roll to the next city. So give these guys a travel day and fire it up again.
Yeah, if anybody that's watching has an idea that you'd like to toss in, go ahead, throw it in the comments, and we'll talk about it.
What's disappointing in this whole thing too is that you've got so far what's been a really good playoffs. You've had a lot of close games, you have a lot of upsets. Like it's been good, but all people are talking about is the format.
Well,
Like
but that's also because people just love to bitch, moan, and complain about stuff.
Agreed. But like
Facts.
for baseball, that's a problem when the fan base
Sure, no, I
is like, oh, it's the format. Like you're taking away from the game. Just fix the format.
Yeah, I agree, and I think they will. And I think, and this is where I think it's we shouldn't be too hard on Major League Baseball because this is something they've tried, right? We were on them
Agreed.
about, for years we've been on them about how they're behind the times. It's like, well, all right, so we're trying something.
Yep.
We're in this is year 2 of this or year 3 of this?
Yeah, it's 2 or 3.
2 or 3
I
of
think after
having
the
like
lockout,
this,
right? So
yeah. So, they're trying something.
Mhm.
The people that run, we needed that goal. People that run Major League Baseball are not dumb. Right. So I think they'll understand and they'll take feedback and they'll look at, but here's another problem. And I'm just keep cutting myself off. Here's another problem. I can almost guarantee you that viewership of the postseason is up. So people that run baseball are going to go, the hell do I give a shit? People are watching.
right.
Well, flip side is
We're
you've lost LA. You've got you've
True.
lost all your big markets have fallen
True.
out.
So we'll see how it impacts maybe the later rounds. You're right. But all they care about is who's watching.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, if people continue to watch because we're seeing more upsets, that might be what they want.
See, that's why I'm saying like you add 4 more teams, get 4 more fan
I
bases
agree.
into the playoffs.
I agree.
That first round can be a 3-game series like it was this year. No one's having the extended time off. It's everybody plays in the first round. Best team comes out. That's it. So yeah, more than 50% of your teams make the playoffs, but I mean, you're still going to have upsets in a 3-game series with 8 teams in there. Like you're still going to get it, but I think your better teams are going to win out. That's how I would fix it personally.
I agree.
So yeah, I don't want the 1-game wild card for everything you guys said. It's a coin flip, right? It's an absolute coin flip. Baseball, you could have a pitcher go out there, throw a perfect game, and then the next game he goes up and gives up 20 in 2 innings. That's baseball. That's how it works.
Yep.
3-game series, 8 teams each league, move on.
I mean, how many times do we see a series start off, whether it's regular season, postseason, whatever, a team wins game 1, and then they lose the next 2 or 3, and they lose the series? I mean, it happens all the time.
It does.
Right.
Like 1 game is the start of a series. It's not the whole. So I'm very steadfast against it.
And the 1 game for me always stinks because you got the one team that like clinched and rested and they lined up the rotation. The other team that like played right to the final pitch of the season to get in, and they're running. It's like a bullpen game in the 1-game playoff, and you're like, what the hell? Like, didn't even give them a shot.
And then God forbid they win it, and now they play 2 days later with their 4th starter going up against the number 1. It's like the whole thing is just and again, being a higher seed team, you should have an advantage, which is why, I think that there should be reseeding. I think we talked about it last week. I'm a big fan of reseeding. 1 plays 8. If 7 somehow beats 2, then you get 7. You don't get the winner of 3-4. You get the lowest remaining seed, and it stays that way as long as the highest seed always gets the lowest remaining seed. Like it should be. That should be your reward. It shouldn't be a week
agreed.
off. That's no reward.
No.
Like
Agreed.
your reward should be the easiest potential path to the championship.
Yep.
You know, we see
I
other sports
see-
do it. It's not crazy.
No. And I think for now, I mean, the 8-team format on each side would be perfect because of all the talk of expansion. Raleigh has entered the chat officially. The owner of the Carolina Hurricanes is pushing hard to get a group together to get an MLB franchise in Raleigh. So that would be huge. We know pretty much that the Nashville Stars are almost a done deal. I know that group's been pushing hard for that. It seems like that is going to be my
Castellanos again.
This is getting ugly.
This dude hits
already.
nothing but homers.
I think we should
My
amend
goodness.
as a podcast. We should amend what we said earlier when we said solo home runs aren't going to kill you. Multiple solo home runs will kill you.
Yeah, when
I
you
think the
Yeah.
idea is if you give up like one here or there, like that's not the end of the book. If you give up 3
Yeah.
solo homers, you're
Yeah.
probably going to
Yeah.
lose.
or when you give up
So
4
just-
in an inning to the D-backs or like
yeah,
those,
so
they start
just
to
on
pile up.
record. Just
Yeah,
on record.
Yeah, a solo home run won't hurt you.
Correct.
Several will.
A solo home run is not going to hurt you. Just to clarify.
Well, all right. Well,
And that was beautiful.
good thing this is a 7-game
Thigh
series.
high out.
Dude,
He
all right.
took it there.
Buddy, all 3 of these that have been hit out have been middle. Like you can't miss there against this team. If you're going to miss somewhere else. It can't be there.
Nope, absolutely not. Dang. And Harper homered on his birthday. Forgot today was his birthday. Yep. Great.
Good
Cool.
lord.
Yeah. So, like I what was I saying? Oh, expansion, Nashville Stars. It sounds like they're in. I haven't heard any reports lately about it, but it seems like they're the furthest along to get the new franchise, and then you have a few cities that are bidding for that second one because you're going to want 2 teams to enter at the same time, so the leagues are even.
Give me Montreal.
So we'll see what happens.
Well, and I like the
I
idea
want
too.
Montreal to get a team so bad.
I know.
So bad. Jesus, Sean, figure it out.
Send somebody back up there. But I do like the idea. If you're going to add this round of the playoffs that you've already added, make it a full round. Bring more teams in the
Yeah.
playoffs. Open up another wild card spot.
Yeah.
Let there be more teams. You know, the only thing that does it takes away from the trade deadline if that many more teams are in the running. But who cares? It gives more
True.
fan bases a reason to tune in August and
Well-
September when some of them are tuning out.
It might and it might not. I don't know how much it would impact. I mean, it would certainly impact. I shouldn't say I don't know how much, but you know, the original, at least if I can read your mind, I think the original thought is, well, more teams are going to be in it, so they're going to be more hesitant to make moves
Yep.
when they would be out. But that's more teams that are in it to make moves.
True.
Right? Those are more teams to say, hey, we still have a shot. Like, let me go get that bullpen arm, or let me go get that base stealer or something.
Well, I
like,
think-
depending.
And we talked about this too at the All-Star break. The trade deadline isn't what it used to be. With these long contracts and no trade clauses and all this other stuff, players just don't move like they used to. Like there
Right.
aren't the big blockbuster trade to the All-Star break or at the trade deadline like there used to be. There just aren't. We don't see those anymore.
And the only blockbuster deals you see in the offseason are when a player has that big contract and he just doesn't want to freaking play where he is anymore. So he decides to waive it to go to Philadelphia or wherever.
Right.
You know, I mean those are the only ones you see nowadays.
Yeah, we're not
So-
seeing those kind of trades. Like there's you're not getting A-Rod in the offseason, Kurt Schilling, those trades just don't
Right.
happen anymore.
So here, if we added those 2 extra teams on each side, this is what the playoff picture in the first round would have looked like. You would have added Seattle and New York, the Yankees,
Oh god.
in the first round, and then you would have added the Cubs and the Reds.
That would have been cool. The Cubs and Reds in the playoffs. Like how awesome would that have been?
So I mean,
the
Yeah.
only risk you run, you go to 8 teams on each side, you begin to water the playoffs down. You're going to get teams that are in there that are just over 500, like the Yankees would have been. But again, if the Yankees get hot for 2 or 3 weeks, so be it. Let them dance.
Yeah, it's true. I have a harder time with the whole like watering down. Like these are all professional athletes playing professional sports. Like these guys are all warranted to be playing at that level. Like it's one thing, like we talk about like, like college tournaments, right? Like you think about like the March Madness tournament. There's some teams just like, what are we doing? Like Princeton. Like I'm glad they won the Ivy League, but like Princeton doesn't belong there. Now, granted, they'll pull off an upset here and there.
Yeah. Eastern Mississippi Agricultural and Technical.
But exactly. But like, even a team like the Yankees was a great example because I'll tell you, as flawed as that lineup is, if they get hot at the right time, they could beat anybody because
For-
they just mash the shit out of you for 3 games.
For 2 weeks, they could have pounded on a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Well,
So-
first of all, they got to pay bail for half their pitching staff, but like that's a different story. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think it would make for more eyeballs on the screen in the playoffs. More fan bases make it. You have teams that wouldn't have, haven't been there for a while or consistently, the Cubs and the Reds in the playoffs. I mean, Seattle was there until the last day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough there, but they would have been in. I don't know the answer. I pretend like I do.
If-
I like the 8 teams on each
You
side.
add it
That would
around to
be
the
my
playoffs,
fix.
make it a full round, let these guys keep playing. And the 1 seed's advantage is their home team, they host, and then you reseed, they get the lowest remaining seed, and that you just keep going. Like that's how you do it because these guys don't want the time off.
And I bring up the example last year in the NHL. Like, I know this is a baseball podcast, but the Florida Panthers were the 8 seed going in, and they ran through the Eastern Conference and got to the Stanley
The
Cup.
Bruins were what, the best hockey team in NHL history, and they dispatched them in the first round?
Yeah, and then they went through the Carolina Hurricanes, which wasn't a slouch
No,
either.
they took everybody out.
I mean, yep, they did. And I think they went through Tampa too, right? I think they hit Tampa, Boston, and then Carolina.
Well, no, Boston was first. It might have been Tampa because I think Tampa beat Toronto in the first round. Then I think Tampa. Then I think it might have been. I'll have to look it up, but I think that's what it turned out to be.
But either way, it was an 8 seed that went all the way to the Stanley Cup. It's gonna happen.
And they took down juggernauts on the way.
Yep, absolutely. So again, I don't know what the fix is. I would like to see 8 teams, especially if they are going to add other teams here in the not too distant future. Get a playoff format that works, and then when those 2 new teams come in, then we got some foul. So yeah, it was.
I love his swing.
All right. I have a few trivia questions here to ask you guys, and then obviously we're going to break them up and put them on our reels so we can answer them on there. So you kind of get a head start because we say the answers on our podcast, but not in our reels. So here we go. First question I have for you guys. Who was the first player to get America free tacos from Taco Bell in the Steal a Base, Steal a Taco campaign in the World Series?
Oh,
What year did it start?
It was 2007.
Yeah, was
Was it Pedroia?
Nope.
Ellsbury?
It was Jacoby Ellsbury. Yeah, Jacoby Ellsbury was the first one.
Nice.
Yep.
The free,
Who,
I forgot about the
who-
free taco thing.
Yep. Okay, so the follow-up question. Who got America free tacos in last year's World Series?
I know that one. Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, it was. It was Schwarber with the stolen base.
You
Yeah.
know how I know that?
I love the fact you know it like immediately.
I knew because I remember watching it, and then I remember as the announcer and he's going blah blah blah. I remember my first thought was it would be hilarious if the fat guy Schwarber got American tacos. I remember that was my.
It's
thought
because he wanted the
watching it.
taco himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely amazing.
That's awesome.
So, all right. Here's my second one. Can you name the 3 relief pitchers who had the lowest ERA from 2010 to 2019 while throwing at least 400 innings?
Jesus, that is a baseball question. There's so
Wow.
many different things.
So lowest ERA
Relief
basically for the
pitchers.
decade.
For relief pitchers to
relievers.
throw at least 400 innings.
Let's see.
They're all
2010 to
pretty well known.
2019.
They're all closers. I'll give you
Oh
that.
yeah, that makes sense.
Edwin Diaz.
Nope.
K-Rod?
Nope.
Papelbon.
Nope.
Kimbrel.
Kimbrough, yes, is
Kimbrel's
one.
Okay.
We talked about this guy earlier.
Jansen.
Oh, Aroldis.
Yes, Aroldis Chapman and Kenley Jansen. Nice job. Yep. Kenley Jansen. So those
There's
were
one more.
no, that was it. He got it. Kenley Jansen, Aroldis
Oh.
Chapman, and Craig Kimbrell are your 3. So yeah.
Nice. At his peak, Chapman was pretty much unhittable.
Unless you were
Pretty
Raffy.
nerd.
That home run Raffy hit off of him
Yeah.
in the top of the
Oppo.
ninth. Oppo, it was 101. And it was at like his shoulders. I don't know. How do you turn around 101 at
I
your
don't
shoulders? He
know.
was 19 years old
Hacked it.
and he put it Oppo gap. I mean, it was probably one of the most fascinating home runs I've ever seen.
I would be with you there. This one I think is a little bit easier. I think you guys will get it right away. What pitcher was the first pitcher to win a Cy Young Award while primarily using a knuckleball?
Necro?
Nope.
R.A. Dickey.
Oh, right.
R.A.
Ari
Dickey.
Dickey, yeah.
Yep. And then the last one I have. Who was the first player to win an MVP award while being on a last place team?
Trout?
He hit 49 home runs and drove in 137 runs.
Not Trout?
Not Trout. Sooner than that.
Sooner being more
Like,
recent. or
like
sooner
before
being-
that. Before Trout.
A-Rod.
Older than that.
Oh, geez.
So what was it? He won an MVP while playing for the last place team.
Place team. I'll give you the year. 1987.
McGuire?
Nope.
No, they were good back then.
National League. Is a Hall of Famer.
Barry Larkin.
Nope. Right division.
Oh,
This is a tough.
this is a toughie. So NL Central.
I think NL Central, 1987, last place team. And is a Hall of Famer.
And hit 49 home runs and drove in 101.
137.
Oh, 137. Holy shit.
Holy moly.
I thought he said 101. I was like, that's pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
137 is crazy.
His nickname is the Hawk.
Oh, Dawson?
Oh, Andre Dawson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andre Dawson.
With the Cubs? The Cubs were in
Pretty
last
good.
place that year?
In 1987, yep. 49 homers, 137 runs, and they finished last. They were 76 and 85.
Andre Dawson was awesome.
Yep. Absolutely nuts. So that's the trivia I had for this week.
That's a good
So,
one.
Yeah, those are good.
All right. We'll come to the rounding third question. I did not put this out, but we can bring this up now. When do teams stop pitching to Yordan Alvarez in the postseason? When does he start getting the Barry Bonds treatment, if at all? I know today he went deep twice, but there were no runners on. Obviously, you're gonna flip a coin and pitch to him there. But what are your feelings on it? I mean, this guy just continues to tear it up. What is it? His 6th home run this postseason
Yeah,
already?
he got,
Yeah, 6.
I mean, stop it. Just stop.
yeah. And he had 2 today, although he was sick.
Yeah, the flu
Yeah,
game.
this was his flu game.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not going to be the Rangers because, as we've said it earlier in the hour, Bruce Bochy, those guys, like, analytics are there, but they don't run their team. Bruce Bochy is not going to run his team because the analytics tell him to walk Yordan Alvarez.
Right.
And if he has the opportunity, sorry guys, I'm getting over a cold here. It's killing me. If he has the opportunity to send a message to his pitcher, to send a message to his team, like, all right, we're going after this. We're going to be aggressive. We're not afraid of these guys. So what? He might take us deep. So what? He'll make it 5-3. Ooh. Like, all right, fine. But we're going to be aggressive. We're going to go after them. We're not afraid of them, right? Like, all of those things are emotions that you emanate to your team based on the decisions you make. And I can tell you this much. If you start walking guys in the second inning because they've hit a whole lot of home runs, you're going to send the wrong message to that team. And so I tell you, it won't be Texas. I don't know who's going to be the first team. I don't know if it's going to be this year, next year, whatever. But it won't be in this series. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, if he's the tying run or worse, he
Then
doesn't.
yes, you
he
pitch
doesn't stay
around him.
pitch to hit. Absolutely.
Correct.
Like I'm rewatching that slider he hit off Chapman. That was an 89-mile-per-hour slider below the knees on the black. Like
First pitch.
that is a nasty pitch.
Who
Nasty
looks for that
pitch.
on the first pitch?
And he absolutely just turns on it.
Who looks for that? I'm mad about it. Like, who looks for that on
that's
the first pitch?
That is like the pitch you want to throw him on the first pitch, and he still hit it out.
Even that pitch by Uvalde, he got like up and in like above the letters, and he was still able to get the barrel up in on it. Like
Yeah, I
that
think
wasn't a poorly executed pitch.
No.
I mean, he
No,
could have gone a little higher with it,
or in more.
but still could turn on it. Right, or in more. Right.
I think with the Evaldi pitch, though, I think the danger of that is if you try to get, there's no such thing as too elevated for him because of his hands are so quick and he's so quick to the ball.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake up, he's going to make you pay. And I think that's the danger of trying to go up with him is you better get it up because if you make a mistake, it's gone. The Chapman, like, if you want to call it a mistake, I guess you can because, like, it got a little bit of the plate. But, like, that's not a bad pitch.
It's a really
the
good
whole
pitch.
idea behind that pitch, is, okay, even if he swings and he's aggressive, if he hits it, it's a single.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's the idea behind that pitch. Not that he's going to rope it 109 exit velocity. Like, that's, like, it's bullshit.
Yeah. And I think like we said, the situation in that game, it was a 5-3 lead when he gives up that home run. You're not going to walk him and bring the tying run to the plate. You know, like
Correct.
I totally agree with pitching him in that situation.
Kyle Schwarber, that was his 4th career postseason leadoff home run, most in history.
Silly. So yeah, I think the situation dictates what you do with him. But there is going to be some point where somebody puts him on. You have to.
Well, I think
later
in a game,
he struck out 3 times.
Yeah, later in a game, yeah, I could see that. But early on in the game, no. I mean, if he can't necessarily put you out, then I think you pitch to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you say put him on, Nick, are you talking like just throw up the 4 fingers, or are you talking just like be careful and pitch around?
Put it in his ear hole.
I'm talking like Barry Bonds treatment almost.
But Barry Bonds,
like
you
put up 4 fingers and put him on base. Right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. At what
That's
point?
what I was asking.
Yeah. At what point do they start doing that?
I don't think.
Because I agree, you can pitch around guys, but as he just showed, you can't really pitch around him either.
No.
Well,
So.
no. I mean, there's ways to do it, but yeah, right. No, and then that's what more I was curious about the question. Like, is it because I don't know if we ever get to that point. You know, I mean,
The dude's 25 years old and he's hitting like this. 25, maybe 26 now, but still.
Right, but I think the hard part about even doing the pitching around him now is he is protected with a really goddamn good lineup. And so, like,
pick your poison.
You know, the reason why it was okay to pitch around Barry Bonds, and this is nothing against, but like he wasn't exactly on the murderer's row of San Francisco Giants. Some of those teams were really good, but some of those teams were not very good at all. You know, it's easy to make that decision to be like, well, we'll just go get the next guy. It's like, do you trust in this scenario? I know we talked about it, but like, you don't pitch around Jordan to put the tying run at the plate.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I just think you have to be careful when he's in a lineup like this. It's like we don't really have much of a choice. We got to just maybe hope that he ambushes when we throw him a really nice slider and doesn't hit it 111 over the right field fence.
I think what's also really helping the Rangers right now is Kyle Tucker is in a
awful.
massive skid.
He's swinging like
That
an
poor
idiot.
guy.
He's swinging at some bad pitches too.
He's batting gloves on, batting gloves off, one on, one off.
And he's
trying
not
to hit with his socks on his hand.
He's not a guy you see slump very often. He's usually so consistent. So for him to be in a funk like this, it's weird.
Yeah, it's
very weird.
It's weird to see for sure. But all right, we'll move on from that and kind of wrap up some other news here. And from around the league, we got the whole locker room talk. So Kevin Gausman came out and said, you know, that whole thing with Arcia and Harper, like the attaboy Harper and all of that stuff. Kevin Gausman actually came out and said, whatever's said in our clubhouse should stay in our clubhouse. It's not for other people outside of the clubhouse. My argument with that is if you have reporters in there, you know you have reporters in there, so don't say anything that would incriminate you. Like I have no issues with reporters releasing that. They heard it. Don't say it within earshot. Like get the press out of there and then go nuts. Go crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's my thing too. I'm with you on that. Like I kind of agree with the whole, like, what's said in our locker room stays in our locker room. But that's kind of with the caveat that it's said there when it's only your locker room.
Right.
Like once you open it up and you let the people in whose job it is to report what's said in the locker room. I mean, it's kind of the definition of what their job is. That's why they're there, to report what
Right.
goes on in the locker room. It's kind of hard for you to then turn around and be like, I can't believe they released that. It's like, well, I mean, you kind of said it when they were in there. I don't have much sympathy on that. So
No,
yeah,
and
I mean, listen,
Yeah.
it came back to bite them. You know, I mean, you got to credit Philly too for taking advantage, using whatever they can for fuel, and they took advantage. But I don't agree with Gosman on that in that sense, unless that wasn't the whole quote. But from that, if that's what the quote was,
Yeah, that's pretty much what he
disagree.
said. What's said in our locker room should stay in our locker room. It's not for other
yeah,
ears.
and I get his point. However, the issue with that is that these reporters have
God
so much
damn,
access
man.
to that clubhouse. And maybe that's the issue. Maybe you're going to see teams cut back some access to the clubhouse for the reporters after the game, because from the minute they get in there, there's reporters crawling that thing the whole time. So like these guys are saying, hey, we want a chance to be able to like do our thing and talk as a group, and that shouldn't be taken out. Well, if the media is in there the whole time, you kind of don't have that chance. So
but
I think
can't they though? Isn't that how it works? Like after the game ends, doesn't the team have to open the doors for the reporters? Like when the
I would
reporters
imagine.
aren't in there.
no, but during the
When the players
playoffs,
come in.
I believe the league has them leaving the doors open. Because if you look at some of these, if you look at these interviews, these guys they're not even out of their uniform yet, and they're being interviewed at their stall. I think these baseball teams will be smart to say, hey, look, oh great, 4-0. Would be smart to say, hey, look, you know, we need some time after the game, let these guys like decompress and get it out of their system before you guys come in. So, you know, maybe
Yeah, so-
maybe there should be a bigger window of time where they can cool off before they open the door.
So that I agree with. I always thought it was, you know, like the game ends, postseason, regular season, doesn't matter. I always thought the game ended, the players went in, right? And then like the team decided like, okay, like this is the media portion, like we're going to open the locker room up. If that's not the case, if these players are coming in directly off the field, especially with the way that game ended,
Right.
if these players are coming directly from the field, in the minute they step foot in there, the reporters are already like milling around ready to ask questions, then I think that's kind of bullshit. I'm not necessarily agreeing that what's in there stays in there, because like at that point the reporters are there. You just have to
know your
they're
audience.
Right.
But I do think it's a little bit more understandable then of why they're pissed. Because if his initial reaction is like, way to go, Harper, like what an idiot, like that was my initial reaction.
Right.
Like, what is he doing when we were like, what is going on?
Right.
Like if that's Arcia's initial reaction and he's like trying to talk it through with his teammates being like, wow, I can't believe he did that. That was such a dumb play. And the reporter standing right there, I kind of get it. So I think it would be helpful to know kind of exactly how the timeline of it works, because to me, no sympathy whatsoever if they willingly were like, okay, we're going to let in reporters. And then he said it. It's like, well, that's your own fault. But if it's kind of like happening all at once, I'm kind of in the middle there.
Yeah, my understanding is during the regular season, the teams have control to media access. My understanding is in the postseason, they're required to allow so much access.
Gotcha.
So I'd be curious how much control they really have over when those doors are open and closed. But
right.
I mean, wouldn't surprise me if the reporters just follow him right from the field down the tunnel. And
they're probably in the tunnel waiting for him and follow him in. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So I don't know. I just thought it was worth bringing up and seeing your reaction on it, but I'm kind of with you there. I mean, you have to know there's reporters in there listening to everything you guys are saying at that point. So
yeah, at that point, yes.
Yeah. All right. So news came out earlier this week that MLB was pushing for baseball to be back in the Olympics, and we just got word today that it is official. So baseball will be back in the Olympics in 2028. So baseball will be back. What that looks like, I don't know. Like, is it going to be college players? Are they going to allow MLB players to go? I don't know what that looks like. And I don't think they've released that. I could be wrong. I didn't read that much into it, to be completely honest. I just know that baseball is officially back in the Olympics in 2028, which is pretty cool. So more exposure for young players, for hopefully veteran players that want to go play for their country. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see, probably what we see now kind of in the Winter Olympics when it comes to hockey. I mean, every so often, cycles of the Olympics, you have the NHL stepping in being like, we don't want to send our players. We can't afford to our players to get hurt. The owners are talking about we pay so much money. We got to get, and I'm sure baseball will be the same way. I'd love to see Major League Baseball players go over there and play.
Mhm.
Like we saw with the WBC, right? I mean, how good of a tournament that was because of the involvement of the best players. It was an awesome tournament.
I was gonna add to that. That's probably a good reason why MLB
Yeah,
was pushing for it, because of the exposure that the WBC brought this year.
right.
They want that exposure internationally.
And
And
like,
why not? I mean,
we
these
talked.
Japanese players that are coming over now, and
Yeah.
like there's guys from Australia that are in the minor league system. Like baseball's really starting to grow globally, and this is only going to help. This is only going to help MLB in the future.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's all about growing the game.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I think you'd have to get the owners on board, right? You got to get the owners on board. I mean, you look at
Right.
what happened with Altuve. I mean, Altuve got hurt, and it cost him the beginning of a season. I mean, Edwin Diaz certainly. I mean, the whole Mets season, was kind of derailed at that point. I mean, they just were on their heels from that moment. Not that that's the reason they played so poorly all year, but you start a season like that with the expectations you have, and you're kind of on the back foot already. So owners are going to have to be fully on board for something like that to happen.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see it, man. I mean, we talked about it in March. How much better Team USA would have been if like a single USA pitcher decided to play.
You're
I mean,
right. Merrill
what they
Kelly
did-
was your ace.
Yeah, they did what they did with like a very deficient pitching roster.
Agree.
Yep.
Found out today that the San Francisco Giants have interviewed Alyssa Nakin for the possibly a managerial candidate. So it's the first woman candidate, official candidate, to possibly be a major league manager here. Don't know when we'll hear if she got the job or not, but I mean, it's growing. Like it's the last few years, we've had reports of, women coming up and being coaches, being bench coaches, coaching minor league teams. So this is just another step in that direction. So I thought, good for the Giants. They have a vacancy. She's been on the bench for that team, been a coach, and officially applied to be the manager there.
What a pick by
Dude,
Christian Walker.
what a
Holy
scoop
cow.
by
Yeah.
Walker.
Wow.
Put some jimmies on that scoop.
Wow. That is an
He's so
absolute
good, this
saver right there. That was going to be probably 2 runs if he misses
Huge.
that.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So baseball's heading in that direction. I think we're gonna see more of a female presence in the locker room, in the clubhouse, in the dugout. We've already seen it, but behind the scenes in the front office. We're gonna get to that in a second.
Yeah, we did, not anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, thoughts on that?
Which
No, I
one?
think
The
it's cool.
manager?
Yeah, the manager candidate. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I,
We'll see. I mean, I think it's got to be tough to be her in the position. I wish her all the luck. I would love to see a story like that follow through and kind of go through, and to see her do well. I think it's got to be tough to be the first one, right? Because the first one through the wall is always bloody, and and it's unfortunate, but there's going to be just incredible scrutiny
Yeah.
on whoever the first one is, whether it's her or somebody else or whenever it happens, which is unfortunate. But it's the way of the world. I'd love to see her get it, because I'll tell you, I don't think the Giants are that bad. Like, I think the Giants are a pretty good baseball team. I think they're a couple pieces away, but like, you get the right pieces. Like,
Yep.
you could be looking. I would love to see her get it with this team, because you could be looking at the first ever female manager in Major League Baseball who has a team that's pretty good, and like knocking on like 85, 90 wins. And you're like, this is pretty sweet.
Especially when they get Shohei.
Yeah, right. I mean, listen, I'd love to see it. I hope it happens soon. If it's not her in San Francisco, because I think it'd be cool. And like you said, Nick, I mean, we're seeing it creep up a little bit in the minor leagues, right? With bench coaches, with minor league managers, lower level. So it's starting to make its way into the game, which I think is great. So
yeah. And I mean, if you're her, you're sitting there and you're like, Aaron Boone has a job. Why can't I get one? You know, I mean, she can't be the worst manager in baseball. There's no way. There's no way. But yeah, I'm all for it. I wish her the best of luck too. But it'll be interesting to see. Which I think it all depends on which way the Giants want to go with it.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
To be honest.
now, at risk of being canceled, I'm just going to make this statement. It is at the minor league level. It's one thing. These are younger players, less experienced. They're just looking for the person that's going to help them get to the next level. When you get to the major league level, I think a female manager is going to have a tough time, having never been there themselves, really talking to these guys. Really, a female manager who's never played the game is going to go up to Trey Turner or Kyle Schwarber or Bryce Harper and say what? Like that's
Well, I think
that's the thing I worry
that-
about is like, what's the reception like? Because in reality, these guys are going to be like, what are you going to teach me about the game when you never played it?
Well, I think that's the idea, right? And I get it, but there have been managers that have never played Major League Baseball.
Sure.
You know, like I think that's where you just need, like, especially at the very beginning, until whoever it is, whether it's, until she gets her feet under her, to where it's like, okay, like I have a track record, I've proven that I can win. You can talk to former players; they know what I'm about every day in the locker room, like that kind of thing. Like until you get your feet under you, you really have to rely on a good staff, a good bench coach, a good pitching coach, a veteran bullpen coach, like things like that, where it's like, okay, maybe I'm now talking to Trey Turner and Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber about what my philosophy is and what my ideas are for the course of a 162 game season. This is what I want to see this team kind of look like towards the end. But then when it comes to dealing with the day-to-day pressures of playing, that's the conversation the bench coach would have. That's a conversation, which I know it's not ideal, but it's kind of the hand that you've been dealt.
Yeah.
Rather than try to force a conversation like that, and then everyone goes, well, she's just in it so she can get, likes and so that people can talk about it. Like, no, she's in this for real. She wants to win championships. So she's going to surround herself with a coaching staff that's going to put her in the best position to do it. I don't know. It just, it would be hard with what you're saying. I agree, because it's like, it would be like me. I mean, it'd be like me getting a manager job. I mean, listen, I love Little Big League, but it's not the most realistic of movies, right? Like,
right.
Like if I was to walk in there and be like, this is what we want to do, Bryce Harper would be like, go sit on it and rotate. Like, who do you think you're talking to? Like, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Right.
Who are you, by
Right.
the
But
way?
like, so you would have to rely on like, okay, like I'm going to go get Alex Cora as my bench coach. You kind of have to put yourself in a position to do that. So
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
I look at a guy like Ron Washington, one of the most respected baseball men there is. Couldn't be a manager. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it. Like Brian Snitker,
Well-
he was a minor league manager forever before he got a shot in the major leagues. And he even played minor league baseball. And the guy got drafted and played in the minors. Most of these guys, played at some level, whether it was minors or
Sure.
majors. It's just, I worry what the reception is going to be when somebody walks in the clubhouse and they're now in charge of a major league baseball organization and they've never seen a pitch in the minors. It's going to be interesting.
I think it also comes down to her first mistake.
Yes.
When she does, not go get a pitcher in the 8th inning or, makes a call, like she's going to have to be strong enough to stand there and answer it herself in the press conference too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying she's not capable of, but it's all factors that definitely lead into that decision. But I mean, I think it's cool. Even if she doesn't get it, like she interviewed for it, like she has to be a qualified candidate if the Giants even called her for an interview. So yeah, that's kind of my.
I mean, I'm all for it's open and the best person wins. I'm to Sean's point. The first person that does this always gets bloodied. It's a hell of a limb to go out on to be the first female manager in baseball and how that reception is and what the reaction is from the players and just how well it goes. At what point are 30-something-year-old millionaires going to be like, I'm not listening to you. Like, I don't care who you think.
Well, I also think it has to come down to the clubhouse too before she enters.
True.
I think it's up to the front office to be like, hey, like we're thinking about going down this road. How do you guys feel as a locker room doing this? I think because that could be very polarizing. If like you said, if the players aren't in and they can't buy into their manager.
Right.
And this goes for any manager, any sex. It doesn't matter.
It's true. It's
like
true.
if they pull in a guy, they pull in Bobby Valentine again. All those players are going to be like, nope, no
pass.
thanks. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you need to have your guys on board with whoever is sitting in that coaching chair.
Right, and I think it's important, and I mean we're getting way kind of on a tangent here, but I think it would be important for the players to not only be on board with like, yeah, like if she can help us win, you know, if she can take us to the next level and give us a chance to like compete in the postseason, then yes, I'm in. But it also has to go the other way as well, to be like, hey, like I have to be able to feel comfortable that I can speak out.
Right.
If I disagree,
1,000%.
now I'm not saying go air your dirty laundry in the media. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying like, I mean, we see it all the time. We see players are unhappy where they are. They don't get along with the manager. They don't. What they say is they don't get along in the clubhouse. Blah blah blah. Like you have to be able to still be comfortable without being like, well, I'm going to be labeled as a misogynist if I say I don't like the way that she manages.
Right.
Like there has to be also some level of like, well, it does go the other way too.
Right.
You know,
1,000%.
like I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel.
So.
I would like to think that I would like to think that I'd be like, yeah, like if she can help me win, then let's do it. Like what I mean, it doesn't gender doesn't matter in that case. You know, like if
absolutely not.
If she's smart enough and she's going to make the right decisions and we're going to have a roster good enough and we're going to be able to compete over the course of 162, then like, yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely.
God, could you imagine being the only woman in a room with 26 other guys? Listen to all the stupid stuff we talk about, all the ridiculous things we say. Like she'll hate men by the time that managerial stint is over.
No.
Yeah, dude, it was kind of like a month ago. Sarah dragged me up to Maine. She had to like go to some baby shower, and I went up, you know, with her, and I was like supposed to play golf with the husband, like the dad, but like it turned out we couldn't play golf because it was like terrible weather. So she dragged me to this baby shower. So it was just like me in like a sea of estrogen. That's how I felt. It was awful.
Yeah.
I'd never again.
Yeah.
Never again.
Yeah. So staying on kind of like the women in baseball topic here, Kim Ng from the Marlins, the former GM from the Marlins, walked away today. I've read reports that she chose because she was passed up, was more qualified to get than who they went with. She didn't like the direction of the organization. So that's why she chose to walk away. That's the reports that I saw and I read, which now makes Kim Ng available for possibly the Boston Red Sox. John? Question mark?
Yeah. I mean, let me say this because it was a big, it was kind of, it made a big deal in the media. Like, oh, like she felt like she was passed up, you know, almost like with an implication that like she was passed up because she was a woman. And it's like, that happens at every team every year.
Right.
Like people in baseball feel like they're qualified for bigger jobs and they don't get them.
Right.
So for the record, I'm not in the building. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't work for the Marlins. So I don't know how it played out. But I would be willing to bet that her not getting the job she went for had nothing to do with the fact that she was a woman and just they wanted to go into a different direction with that position. I will say this. I would love to see her in the mix for the Boston job. I would. For the years that she's been there, since 2020? Was that right? End of 2019 or beginning of 2020?
End of her third year, yep.
I think she has done a nice job of recognizing positions of strength for them, identifying positions of weakness, making trades to kind of fill those holes. I mean, obviously a rise in Pablo Lopez one jumps right off the bat, right? Position of strength.
Josh Bell and Jake Berger at the deadline.
Yep. That's I was getting to those ones too. I mean, I think she has proven, there is most definitely a proven kind of track record that, you know, we're not afraid to go make moves when we need to strengthen a roster. You know, free agency stuff is only, I mean, you can only spend so much money. Like if your owner doesn't have the money for you to spend, like it's hard to get, in my opinion, like it's hard to get totally raked over the coals on free agency moves because it's like, you know, when you have one hand tied behind your back, like what are you supposed to do? So I look at almost trades more than free agency wise. I'd love to see her in the mix, man. I really would.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the report I read is the Marlins exercised their option on her. She
Yep.
sat down with ownership. So they haven't even hired anybody yet. They just told her, we want to hire a president of baseball operations and rework the front office, and she just said nope, declined
Okay,
her option,
that's
and
all
that
right.
was it.
Yeah.
And it came down to because she felt like the job should have been hers given her track record. I mean, fair argument. She's it's been a good track record there, but president of baseball operations and general manager are different roles. They're not the same thing. Just because you're a good GM doesn't make you a good president of baseball ops. They are very different roles. So,
Yeah.
it's too bad because she did a lot of good things there. They want to beef up that department. She doesn't she doesn't want to work for somebody else. She doesn't want to work under somebody else. So she's available. The Red Sox have been able to attract nobody in terms of GM candidates to this point because nobody wants the job for all the reasons we talked about last week on the show, which is ownership flip-flopping and firing Heim for doing what they asked him to do, et cetera, et cetera. So why somebody who doesn't want oversight like her would ever want to come to Boston? I don't see that happening. I think in her mind, this job would be hell. But who knows? Maybe she'll surprise us. But this ownership group is going to be a problem. They're going to end up having to either throw an insane deal at somebody to get them to come here, or they're going to have to go hire a second tier GM and hope that it works out because this ownership group, Heim Bloom's the fourth GM in 12 years, or I should say fourth person running the organization in 12 years. They've had different titles. There's not a lot of interest in the marketplace. And apparently the Red Sox have been flat out declined by many of their top choices.
Yeah.
Not a good spot to be.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's another whole topic for a different day. That's
it's a mess. It's a mess. And
get him. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
God, this is brutal. All right. Yeah. That's all I had for this week. Do you guys have anything else to add?
I don't think so.
I got a question for you guys, and this may turn into a debate. Maybe it won't.
All right, bring it.
And I mentioned it last week, bringing it up, and I didn't, but I feel like it's worth asking. So this whole Trevor Bauer situation. So Trevor Bauer all the lawsuits have been dropped. All the information's come out, and basically he was targeted by somebody who's looking to make money off of him. So the whole thing was a sham. He never hurt anybody. He never choked anybody, never punched anybody. None of that ever happened. He was targeted, and it was effectively a cash grab.
Yeah.
And so now that it's all out there, does somebody in MLB take a chance on him? Because he actually looked decent overseas last year. Do we see Trevor Bauer in Major League Baseball again? Or is there enough stink from that bad story that he can't come back?
No, I don't think we do. And I don't even know if it has much to do with the stink from the bad story as it is the reputation that he has made about himself that people are conveniently placing on that story.
Yeah.
I think before that story came out, I think there was a ton of people throughout Major League Baseball that were already sick and tired and hated him.
Yes.
We're tired of him. We're tired of him on social media. We're tired of the videos. We're tired of him trying to do this Turtle Boy conspiracy break on the front office of baseball. We're tired of that.
Yep.
And then the story comes out, and then almost everyone was just like, "Oh, this is perfect timing," because now we can just ostracize him from baseball.
Yep.
I don't think we ever see him again and I do feel bad for him because it's a horrible position to be in.
Got hosed,
right? Like you're sitting there and you have the knowledge that you didn't do anything wrong, and you have the knowledge that this was a setup, but you can't say anything because you don't have the proof / I mean, it's all above my head, but he sat there for 2 years and he couldn't defend himself. That has got to be the worst position to be in at all. It's I feel bad for him, but I guess it's my long answer to say I don't think we see him in Major League Baseball again.
Fair.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. So I don't really have anything to add. Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head.
I mean, I think that he was not a well-liked guy. I mean, the guy won. The guy absolutely pitched well every fifth day and did his thing, but I think he had very much made himself a character that MLB didn't like. So I wouldn't be shocked if he's not back. It's interesting because I feel like the door is now open a little bit, and you'll see if it really was MLB that doesn't want him or if people just don't want the sideshow.
I think it's a combo of everything.
Yeah.
That's it's his mouth, it's his reputation.
Because he
It's
showed he
that's-
showed he can still pitch.
Right.
But
A little bit. I mean, a little bit. He was
I mean,
okay.
he had a couple of rough outings and a bunch of good ones. I mean, he was,
Yeah.
but obviously he'd had over a year off. But
Well,
I
I
think-
was just right. I was just going to say he hadn't thrown in a while.
yeah, I mean, I think you give Trevor Bauer a full off season and a full spring training. He's probably 90% of what he used to be.
It's fair.
But he's also in his mid 30s now. He lost 2 real prime years.
All right. Anything else before we head out and watch the Diamondbacks get shellacked some more?
I think that's it for tonight.
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for chiming in. Please like, subscribe. You can share our podcast. Interact with our reels. You can share our reels, like our reels. Interact with our posts. We put a few out daily. So keep interacting with those. And again, like I said, thanks for the support. It means so much. 3 guys that just love coming on and talking baseball every week. It's really cool to have some people that, come on and listen and interact with us. So keep it up, and thank you very much. And go Rangers and go D-backs.
Go Rangers is right.
See ya.